Hello, Capricorn. This is Patrick from the Hierophant. Cutting to the Chariot and the Nine of Swords. That is so interesting. Okay, so this is going to be the retrograde messages for the year of 2020. First mega retrograde season, or the first part of the mega retrograde season before the eclipses. Or, I guess it'll go until whenever, right? I'll be using the Spirit Keeper's Tarot for the Pluto retrograde, the Quiet Tarot for the Saturn retrograde, the Pride Tarot for the Venus retrograde, and the Wild Unknown Tarot for the Jupiter retrograde. And I'm going to lay them all out, starting with the SKT, because I love to use the SKT to sort of anchor in an energy. Right? And, excuse me, what I'm going to be doing is giving this a few shuffles. Then I'm going to look for the Devil card, since that is, Capricorn. That's y'all energy in the majors. And then I'm basically going to rebalance the deck around that, and then I'll pull the top and bottom with the card behind the Devil card as the sort of current or middle energy. It kind of sort of comes out however it comes out, and I'll just get into it. I think I do it from the bottom. First card out is the Four of Swords, and then that Ten of Pentacles and the Star card. So I feel like things, at least Pluto-wise, are looking pretty good. With the Four of Swords, I feel like that isn't going to necessarily be too heavy. There may not be much. Well, I guess, Pluto is in Capricorn, and Pluto's been in Capricorn for a minute. So, in some ways, Pluto has been in the space of your first house. And so I feel like whatever Pluto would sort of have you do, kind of sort of maybe already been done. Like, you've been working through it while everyone else was kind of sort of moving along. And it may be like business as usual, and maybe not like as usual, but as things have been. But, we'll see. Ooh, Capricorn, y'all might be towards the top of the deck. I'm pulling from the bottom. Where are y'all? Are y'all on Pluto right now? Oh my gosh. There you go. Okay. So, in this deck there are 80 cards, so there's going to be 39 on both sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I want to make sure I do this right, because it will be 78. Yeah. 7, 8, 9. Let me make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 41. What? Hold up. 1 second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, 39. Oh, because I have that extra card in here. I'm going to take the title card out for these, because it messes up the count, and I didn't have it in for the other ones. I wanted to leave it in, but it messes up the count. The title card doesn't really affect much. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So yeah, that's 39. 39 and 39. Top of the deck is that Page of Swords, with the message being, we'll see when we get there. Bottom of the deck is a King of Swords, which is interesting. Left at the top or I guess left at the bottom, is this Archangel of Glory, King of Wands. Archangel Commander is the King of Swords. Now I'm going to move on to Jupiter. So yeah, I guess I'll timestamp when this actually begins, because, you know, gotta prepare. Let's see, first card out is that Hangman, followed by the Wheel of Fortune, followed by the High Priestess. So when it comes to Jupiter, I feel like maybe your fortune has been sort of... I feel like this isn't necessarily a period of bad fortune. It's just like maybe your fortune has stopped. Things may have stopped for you, stalled for you in the space of your luck, in the space of expansion in other ways. Let's say you had a project that you're working on and you weren't, for some reason, for any reason nowadays, able to really move forward with it. I feel like you're about to begin to move forward, and if you've been sort of preparing for this forward movement in this space, I feel like you'll be well prepared for when things actually take off. Excuse me. And again, you know, Jupiter's been in Capricorn as well, so... But it's like it was moving forward. Now all of a sudden Jupiter stops. I feel like that could have been a lot of forward movement, very fortunate, very blessed. But now you're in a space of maybe wondering, maybe questioning, maybe because those things have slowed down. Maybe not. Man, y'all are just like at the top of the deck on both of these, aren't y'all? I mean, I guess it is Capricornian energy, so I shouldn't be surprised that you're on top of things. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 7 of Pentacles on top of the 7 of Cups, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Nice. Bottom of the deck is 2 of Wands. Top of the deck is 2 of Swords. And then the Devil goes back on the deck. The only one that I keep outside is the one from the SKT. Like I said, to anchor that in. 9 of Wands left at the top. It's technically the bottom because, you know, this would be the top. So 9 of Wands left at the bottom, where we have the King of Wands in the other deck, which is interesting. Next we'll go Venus next. And then we'll do Saturn first or last because that's y'all's planet. And I've already done so many different retrograde things for all of these. But this will be something additional. Maybe those didn't resonate for you. Maybe this will. Maybe it'll be something extra. Maybe it'll be another piece. Lots of stuff is happening and going down and not happening right now. First card out is the Ace of Swords, followed by the 7 of Wands, sorry. So I feel like this is definitely insight into a situation that you found yourself sort of in an advantageous position before. Maybe you didn't necessarily know why. Maybe you've been like really lucky in a certain space. And again, it's like you didn't know quite why. Maybe coming into a space of like a greater appreciation for who you are. These cards are for the Venus retrograde, and Venus is in Gemini right now, so I'm trying to remember what the Devil looks like in this deck. Okay, I know. Now this deck, this is my newest one, so I don't off the top remember what every single card looks like. There he is right there. As I was just talking about that. Oof. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So yeah, that is going to be the top of the deck, or the bottom of the deck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Top of the deck is the title card, which is the Mind Your Business card. Hold on, wait. That's the bottom. This is the bottom. Right here. This is the top. 10 of Swords. And this with the Knight of Pentacles left at the bottom. Earth energy. That can be y'all guys. Then this goes back in here. Went right on top of the King of Pentacles. So Knight of Pentacles and the King of Pentacles. Maybe prioritizing love may not necessarily be too much of a priority, but you may be wanting to give your time and energy and effort to things that are worthy and deserving of it, even if that's more work, right? I mean, and that makes sense because that's pretty much Capricorn energy. Not to say that y'all are cold, but things need to make sense and it needs to be practical and it has to have worth and value. It's something that you can build upon. Capricorns are builders and foundation makers. So thank y'all for doing that. Yeah, no. Oh, what is that? The Four of Cups is coming out on top of this Knight of Pentacles. And the Knight of Pentacles is at the bottom of the deck. So definitely maybe not focus too much on love. But either not focused on it or maybe not necessarily having the best time with it. If you are in a relationship, maybe that's a little bit strained, especially if your work is affected right now. But we'll see. Okay. First card out here is the 6, no, the 7. Yeah, the 6. The 6 of Swords. That was the 7 of Swords the other day. And I said it was the 6. It was the 7. Oh well, you see it how you need to sometimes. The 6 of Swords followed by the 3 of Swords. So in the space of Saturn, this is definitely sailing away from something. So with this, right off the bat, maybe something that used to work in the past was no longer working in the space of love. And so you kind of sort of broke it off. Oh, and there it is right there. So this time y'all are at the bottom of the deck, which is interesting. I mean, I guess these are the Saturn cards, so I mean, y'all were pretty darn near close to the top all the other times. Pretty close to the middle here, I guess. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And this should be the top. This is the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Nice. This would be the bottom of the deck. The Hierophant. Actually, no. Let me redo this, because it would have come out like this. Basically, the card at the top would have been the card on the bottom, because of the way I go through these to find it. And when I recenter the deck around that card, boom, 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 to a Pentacles. See? Because if I would have done it like that and then flipped it over, that card would have been on the bottom. And the card on top is always the card on top, so. Page of Cups and the 2 of Pentacles. Interesting. And then this goes back on the inside. Left at the bottom is the 4 of Swords. And we started with the 4 of Swords, didn't we? So yeah, as far as Saturn and Pluto go, this is almost business as usual. Okay. I'm going to... Give me 1 second. 15 minutes in. Woof. I mean, hey, the devil card is number 15, so accurate. I'm going to take the picture before I begin. And I'm going to get this timestamp at the same time, so bear with me, y'all. Take a moment to breathe. It is so warm in my room. I am sweating, and for whatever reason, I feel like it was not this warm before. But here we go. I'll say 15:55, and let's get started with Saturn. I like to work my way back, so that's why we're going to be doing it that way. So in the space of the Saturn retrograde, you're sort of sitting with the Page of Cups at the side. Excuse me. I'm going to be charging my thing. You start with the Page of Cups in the subconscious, or in the conscious influence, with the Two of Pentacles at the subconscious influence. So subconsciously, it's like you're knowing that something isn't quite working, or maybe you're wanting to rebalance something. Maybe you feel like you're missing something. With the Page of Cups, it would seem that you're missing, maybe not totally like emotional fulfillment, but you're not completely satisfied when it comes to the realm of, 1 second, because my throat is already trying to get dry. Oof, I just spilled water on myself, so maybe y'all are extra thirsty, Capricorn. Because as soon as I start talking, my throat gets dry. I'm trying to drink some water. It gets all over me. Not all over me, but maybe y'all feeling a little fertile, a little frisky at these times. But you still need to balance an element of like work, maybe respect, maybe your image, how you're viewed or how you're seen. This could be the energy of like, maybe you have a platform or some element of status, and so you don't necessarily, it's like you want something fun, but you don't want to be too careless, because you don't want it to affect the way that you're perceived. And so you have this Page of Cups here. I feel like with the Page of Cups, yeah, I guess you could be, I guess pages could also be children. Maybe you want to spend a little bit more time with your children, and work is consuming a little bit more of your time these days. And when it comes to your children, you're not able to spend the time that you want with them. It could be work, it could be something else, but it's almost like there could be the space that you want to make your children a priority, and it's like you're balancing them right now. I guess on the other side of that, it could be that, let's say that you're a Cappy who isn't working right now because of the times and the situations. Then it's like maybe you like want to take a little bit of a break from the kids. I don't think that's necessarily it, but it could be. But there's something to do with the realm of emotion and a brand new beginning and or children here. Sitting in the middle of this is the Seven of Swords. And this is the card. I saw this the other day, and I called it the Six. And then when I just saw the Six of Swords came out first, I was like, wait, I was talking about the Seven, and here's the Seven of Swords right here. So that's interesting. And then you have the Four of Swords at the bottom of the deck. So the Four of Swords speaks to recuperation after heartbreak. Let me mute this 1 second. Speaks to recuperation after heartbreak, and it speaks to the calm before the storm with the Five of Swords. And the Seven of Swords, I feel like there's something you've forgotten. Because the Seven of Swords comes after the Six, and the Six of Swords is movement. It's sailing on the calmer waters. And so maybe this is a situation that you couldn't find balance in the past. Or it's like under the surface there was a need to find balance. And maybe with this Page of Cups, you didn't too much know how to put something in balance. So maybe you made a decision that maybe it sounded, it's like something about the decision or the words or the action that you took didn't quite line up with what you actually wanted. And so you ended up sailing away from whatever it was. Now you're in this Four of Swords, maybe kicking yourself a little bit. Or maybe you've stopped kicking yourself so much nowadays, but you're still sort of missing that. Maybe instead of an actual child, this is the energy of something that had potential, but it was never realized. And with the Seven of Swords, now it's like you're realizing that there's something left forgotten. I don't think it's necessarily stolen in this case, because the Seven of Swords could be a very sneaky and deceptive energy. I don't think it's stolen. I feel like it's more forgotten because you moved on without it. And this is the space of the Saturn retrograde. So Saturn is in Aquarius, going back to Capricorn. And so with Saturn being in Aquarius, it's all about like future forward thinking, moving forward. It's all about your broader societal and social contacts, again, with the energy of like managing your reputation with your romantic life or your business life and personal life and romantic life. And it's interesting that like your personal life and your romantic life almost feel separate. It's not interesting, but it's worth noting, I guess. But yeah, I feel like this is an energy of wanting to go back to something to get it. And you may be in a space of preparation for it with this Four of Swords over here. Now, when it comes to Venus retrograding, this is interesting because subconsciously, this card to me tells me that I'm not supposed to say whatever this is about. Sometimes you may not even know what this is about. That's why I leave the title cards in the deck. This is the only deck I had the title card in. I tried to put it in this one, but it threw the count off. So, because they're all even, but if I would have left the title card in here, it would have been 81 cards. And that's not how I did it for any of the other ones. And it's interesting because when I took the title card out of here, I was like, oh, that's fine because I won't get any other title cards. And then here comes the title card in the space of the Venus retrograde. So the Saturn retrograde is all about like what's logical, what makes sense. And I feel like you're very good at that, Capricorn, because you're ruled by Saturn. Like what makes sense, what can I build off of, what are the materials that I need. It's very, I feel like Capricorn is not the energy of mismanaging resources. I feel like it's very efficient. And it's like you order what you need with enough for a contingency, because Capricorn is also contingency plans. And so like you have a little bit of excess just in case, if you need it, in case things go wrong, but you don't have like things in extreme. And maybe things were a little bit extreme in this realm or in this area with this Ten of Wands. I feel like consciously in the space of the Venus retrograde, and Venus is all about relationships, love, and worth. Ultimately, Venus boils down to worth, because the people that we engage with, be it platonically, romantically, they sort of mirror and reflect our worth to us, right? And so, whatever this is, it feels very demanding with this Ten of Wands. Maybe a situation where you didn't feel worthy of it. And this is interesting because I feel like Capricorn energy, like y'all are the breadwinners, the money makers, the bosses, the people who make moves. And I feel like if you're a Capricorn and you're not like, you know, a billionaire, I feel like you don't necessarily have to be, because your energy, even if you don't necessarily have all of that money, your energy is all about sort of building on worth, creating and expanding the worth of something, doing something worthwhile, right? But this is interesting because maybe, I guess it could have been the case that you were with a person who are in a situation that continued to push you beyond what you were sort of, it's not pushing you beyond what you were capable of, but it's like you're almost, it's like something that continues to push and push and push and push and push you to keep working, and you never sort of get a break. And it feels like it's never enough because they're always asking for more. So I don't think this is necessarily, because like wands are desires, right? So that could be something that has a lot of demand on your time, on your energy, and you needed to put that into something else. And I feel like with all the Saturn stuff here, it's like you may have let other things sort of fall to the wayside to satisfy whatever this is. And when you were doing that, that's when you sort of started losing connection. Um, it's like things became extremely material. And like, I feel like Capricorn can be materialistic in the sense of having physical things as sort of, not as a measure of success, but as a measure for self, as a sort of means of validation, I guess. It's not that you necessarily measure your self worth against the stuff that you have, but it validates it in some ways, if that makes any sense. Like, I have Capricorn in my chart, but I'm not a Capricorn Sun, Moon, Rising, so I'm trying to do my best. Okay, Cap, I'm doing my best. All right. I feel like some Capricorn was like, "Well, do better." That's not your best. You can do better. Oh, is that what somebody said to you? Or is that what you were saying to somebody else? That's not your best. You can do better. I feel like one of the things that may be difficult about, one of the things that I could perceive as being difficult about being a Capricorn is I feel like Capricorn has, I was talking about how y'all have a sort of inherent understanding of worth, but I feel like it's a lot more of the potential of something than the current and present actual worth of that thing. And so maybe you came upon someone who you saw a lot of potential in, and you continue to push them and push them. Maybe this will, like, all of this can be vice versa. This can be you to somebody else, this can be somebody else to you, right? It's all fluid. But it's like maybe you continue to push someone because you saw the potential within them, and maybe they felt that it was sort of too much for them. Because maybe you didn't congratulate them enough. Congratulate them for what? Because like, if you have someone who's never been pushed that way before, and someone who's made leaps and bounds and who has changed so much, and not even just for you, but within themselves, who have achieved and grown so much, it's almost the energy of like, because you know that they're still not at their most optimal, you know that there's still more within them that they can do, so you continue to push and push and push them. But if you never congratulate them on what they've already done, it can be very easy for someone to approach the space of never feeling good enough or never feeling worthy enough for you, because even when they do the things that you're telling them to do, even as they're actualizing their potential, it almost feels like emotionally they're more in the space of, okay, well, like nothing I do from Capricorn is ever good enough, because Capricorn is always pushing me, and Capricorn is never recognizing the things that I've already done. So it's going to be important to recognize someone's efforts, especially if they are worthy of recognition, right? And it's not to always adopt that mentality of, okay, but you can be doing better, you can be doing more. Sometimes people need a little bit of a pat on the back, you know? And if you have employees, then make sure you let your employees know that you appreciate their efforts, instead of just like, we need to increase our numbers. And then we have this Ace of Cups here. This is interesting. I didn't speak to the subconscious basically at all, because I mean, the subconscious influence is so deep that I ain't even gonna try. And it could be anything. This could be the space of something that maybe it's like differently motivated for different people. But you have this Ace of Cups here, which is interesting because you got this Page of Cups up here. I think someone wanted this to work. I think someone had a lot of love for the other person. And I think, with this Ten of Wands, it's apparent that someone put up with a lot out of the sake of whatever this connection offered. And I think with Venus going retrograde, maybe this was something in the past, again, that you moved away from, that you kind of sort of cut out, and now you're sort of feeling the loss of not having it. And now, with that Page of Cups, it was like something that maybe ended a little bit prematurely, but with the Ace of Cups and the Venus retrograde, it's like you want to go back and you want to get it. But I think this is asking you to analyze why you want this, especially if you're going back to a situation that you've already left, or if you're in a situation that isn't that great for you and you are wondering and questioning if you should continue to be in it. I think this is for you to analyze sort of like the space that you were in when you made those decisions. Maybe also look at the things that didn't work, because I feel like you run the risk here, because this could also be a sort of lack of understanding of the motives behind it. And if you don't understand why things ended up this way, you are so likely to repeat it. And I feel like you don't want to. But this is asking you to analyze maybe how you feel about yourself or how the other person feels about themselves, that being pushed and motivated would sort of put this burden upon them. Someone being asked to be more than they've ever been before. Maybe someone was really comfortable and complacent before they entered this sort of dynamic. I went to a university that is fairly prestigious, and it reminds me of like how everyone who went, or how a lot of the people who went to the university were the smartest kids in their class, the smartest kid in the school, maybe the smartest kid in their town or whatever. But then, you go to the university and it's like you're not the smartest anymore. In fact, now you're struggling. It's the area of someone who's never really been challenged before, and so they don't necessarily know how to react or respond or behave in a challenging situation. There are quite a few people who aren't able to sort of reconcile their identity when it comes to the university, who weren't able to reconcile their identity because smart and the smartest and the best at this, the most intelligent, became part of their identifier. But then when they go to the school, they find out that they're not the smartest person in the world. But it's so ingrained in who they are, because that was their whole life, that whenever it's questioned, it sort of puts them in this space where they need to rewrite who they are from a very foundational level. And a lot of people, they don't, I don't know. I mean, because this is, this is it's not stumping me, but this is what makes it hard to nail this down. And I just think that's a lot of like, you need to look at you need to look at whatever the situation was, you need to look at how both parties contributed. And I feel like with this Ten of Wands, there's a sense of burden. And with this Two of Pentacles, it could have been like something, it's like you started to reach the space of something being more trouble than it was worth. But now you're reaching the space where it was worth every bit of trouble. And you're sort of reconciling how to sort of do both. Now, as we come to Jupiter, who is in Capricorn right now, retrograding, we have the Two of Swords and the Two of Wands. This is a decision to make and a direction to choose. The Two of Wands can speak to a crossroads. It's like, you have an idea and you were fine with sort of going about it one way, but now you're reaching the space where you think, hey, maybe there's actually a better approach or a better way to do this. And with this Two of Swords, it's like you can't necessarily make up your mind on how to approach it or if you should revisit this situation. And again, Jupiter is the space, not again, because I don't know if I've necessarily said it yet, but Jupiter is a planet of prosperity, good fortune, joy, and expansion. It comes in joy in the space of the joviality of it, because it is so detached. It's detached almost from the reality of a situation. And with the expansive nature of Jupiter, it theorizes and philosophizes instead of necessarily looking at the concrete evidence. It sort of focuses more on the factors behind the scenes. And this may be a little bit of a newer space for Capricorn, because I feel like with Capricorn, a lot of it is like, if I put one brick here and another brick there, and I keep laying bricks, and then I put another layer of bricks on top of that layer of bricks, like that's how you build. But this is asking you to maybe sort of broaden your approach a little bit, to expand your horizons with this Two of Wands. And I feel like because they're going from the purple stretching out to the red, I feel like there's just an area of like you need to recognize fundamentally the difference between you and somebody else, because that may be the point of a reconciliation, because I know you can have irreconcilable. That's the point where you can't reach a common ground. Capricorn, you can't reach a common ground with somebody. But I feel like it's because you're not taking into account the fact that you've had different sort of lives that have led you to be in different spaces, and you may be aiming and shooting for different things, and the amount, like, maybe you care differently, maybe you show that you care differently, maybe the way that you put effort into something is different, maybe like Capricorn, you put a lot of time and manual labor and hard work into it, and maybe this other person sort of is more of the ideas guy, and so they may not necessarily put as much like physical observable labor or time into this, but maybe they're putting more like unseen stuff into it, unseen being like thoughts and maybe just stuff behind the scenes that you don't necessarily see, that you may not even know that they were doing for you to make your job easier. Maybe, maybe not. Take it as it resonates and flip it if you need to. But with these, it almost seems like with this Two of Swords and this Two of Wands, it's like in the subconscious influence, these two are parallel, which means they never meet, they never cross, they never touch. But in the conscious, on the surface, you're asking them to sort of come to this mutual understanding. And then you have this eclipse up here where the sun is meeting the moon. And when the sun meets the moon, it looks dark when it's light outside. And I feel like this is a space where you need to just accept the differences between you. And again, right, that was sort of the theme before, but accept the differences between you, because I feel like you can work well together as long as you're both sort of doing your own thing and not expecting the other person to meet you where you are. Because I feel like to meet you where you are, or for you to meet them where they are, is to discredit what it is that you bring to whatever this relationship is. I think it's time for you to expand what you think a valuable contribution is. And it's time for you to expand upon how other people view what a valuable contribution is. Because I feel like here there's a lack of understanding where subconsciously I don't think it is for you two to sort of like, I mean, you can be on the same page, but you can be like on the same page reading the same book in two different languages, right? And so the wording may be different depending on how it's sort of written. Even if you're on the same page, like one person could be further than the other person, but generally it's for you to understand, like, even though the words look different on the other side, they're still on the same page. And you can't force anyone to be anything that they're not. And I feel like as long as you continue to project what you would do and who you are onto someone who is not you, you're going to have this moment of impasse where you sort of can't see eye to eye. And sitting here is this Father of Cups. This is a lot of, I mean, it isn't a crazy amount of water, but this is a lot of water. Page of Cups, Ace of Cups, Father of Cups. I feel like what's up here? That was the Page of Swords and the King of Swords, Archangel Commander, and the Stronghold of the Zephyrs. I like that there's a good elemental balance here. And I've only done Aquarius and Pisces, but I feel like both Aquarius and Pisces were kind of sort of missing an element. But I mean, you have the Earth here. It ain't a bunch of Earth, but you have the Earth here. Swords, water, wands, water, mystery, wands, water, swords, swords, swords. But here's another message, and then there's another card under that. But I feel like with this Father of Cups, it's for you to accept the other person as they are. It's like you're a white swan, they're a black swan, or you're a black swan and they're a white swan, but just because you're not the same colors doesn't mean that you're not both swans. And I feel like you'll get a lot further with this And like, see, the thing about Capricorn is, and I have not been looking at the cards at the bottom of the deck. Oh my gosh, shit, I forgot. I'm sorry. But anyway, I guess I'll go over those later because it is kind of sort of a cohesive story, but it doesn't have to be. Um, but it's like, I know Capricorn. The energy of Capricorn is about efficiency, and it's about building something that will last. And I feel like you'll be the most efficient in this job situation, in this relationship, in whatever, if you can understand the unique talents and skills and experience that each person brings to the table. And if you can begin to work with those to further the situation or to increase the not the productivity, but to make this the best that it can be. Differences and different ways of thinking are what sort of like lead to the best products. I mean, that's why you have a whole like board meeting or a whole board and not just one person, right? Because different perspectives give you the ability to address different situations. And when you have different perspectives, then you can tackle whatever you need to address from many different angles, because not everyone is going to have the same sort of problem or struggle or approach whenever it comes to what this is. And with this King of Cups, it's asking you to accept, recognize, and honor those differences, but to more than that, appreciate them and to utilize them, because that's going to get you much further. And like I said, I can't remember where it was, but it was something that felt a little stuck. And maybe I didn't say it. But the way to get past that stuckness is to accept the things as they are. Now, coming into the space of the Pluto retrograde, we got this whole Archangel Commander on the bottom with this page. Ooh, here's some more Earth. Okay, nice. I was like, oh, we ain't got a lot of Earth. Here's some more Earth. The Stronghold of the Zephyrs is bringing the Conservator. And then we have the Archangel Commander here. This is interesting because this is all about protecting something. And more than protecting it, it's about nurturing. It's about nurturing and protecting. And I know Capricorn and Saturn gets a huge like fatherly vibe, but it can also be maternal. And I feel like this is speaking to the maternal nature of Capricorn because it's Earth. Earth is a feminine energy, right? I mean, it opposes Cancer, so, feminine energies oppose feminine energies and masculine energies oppose masculine energies. That's just the way the zodiac works, right? Like Leo and Aquarius, Pisces and Virgo, Cancer and Capricorn. But this is asking you to tap more into your maternal, nurturing, caring, loving, giving side. And I think it's interesting because, like, we have all this water here. And I feel like Capricorns get a bad rep for being, like, the least emotional or, like, rocks. But, like, Capricorn cares, and the way that Capricorn shows that they care is by putting time and energy and effort into something, by doing what they can to make that thing better. But not everyone receives it that way. Some people, again, receive it as like, oh, you're trying to change me. I'm not good enough for you. Like, why are you always trying to change me? But you're like, no, like, I'm doing this. I'm trying to make you better because I love you. And maybe instead of saying I'm trying to make you better, say I'm trying to help you realize and actualize your potential because you have so much within you. And I love you and I want you to be all that I know you can be. Right? So we have 2 pages on the board, both at the top. And now we have 2 kings on the board. The Archangel Commander, again, is telling you, I feel like subconsciously there's this desire to take charge and there's this desire to fight when it comes to Pluto. Pluto is a very, very, very powerful planet, but it's very small and it can almost be unseen. It's like Pluto is a quiet storm. It's not a thief in the night, but it's like it works in the realm of the subconscious. And so it's a very like inception-y type of energy. And so you may be coming into a space, and maybe when it comes to the Venus retrograde, maybe this title card is here because like you don't even necessarily know why you're fighting for this too much. You may not even necessarily know why it is that you care as much as you do in this situation and in this circumstance. And maybe that's what this Two of Pentacles is about. Is because like if you can't even figure out how much you care about it, then like it's not like, you know, you need something calculable. And since you can't calculate the worth of whatever it is, since it seems to be purely emotional and no logic, you sort of cast it aside. But maybe you cast it aside to realize that, hey, I do care about this, and even if I can't put a number to this, even if I can't assign a metric to this when I'm weighing out the pros and cons of what I should be doing, emotionally I know I can't leave this. I don't know why, but I want this to be there regardless of the sort of challenge it brings into my life, on top of everything else that I'm dealing with. And this Archangel Commander over here is like, it's that subtle, still voice in your ear or in your heart telling you not to give up on whatever this is, telling you that, I don't want to say you need it, but it's expressing to you how much you actually want it. But consciously, you have this page. Just like subconsciously, you have this whole king that's like, no. But consciously, you have these pages and you're just like, I don't know why, but I got a feeling like blah, blah, blah. And I feel like it can be very easy to get frustrated if you don't know why you feel this way, especially for a Capricorn. I'm sorry. I've been nice this whole time. And it's not that I'm being mean, but it's like a lot of times like Cap needs to know. Because it's like, you know, I need to weigh the pros and cons, and how can I weigh the pros and cons if I don't even know why I want this as much as I do? But this Page of Swords is putting you consciously in this space again with this Conservator. The Conservator is a protector, it's a guardian. It's like you need to protect whatever this is, and you don't know why, and you may not find out until later on why it is. It's almost like the divine is giving you this precious and invaluable resource. And it reminds me of like, I can't remember what it was, but it's like, you know, be careful with that thing, it's priceless. And then somebody else being like, priceless is another way of saying worthless. And it's like, no, it's not. It's not worthless just because you can't put a price to it. It's invaluable. Its value far surpasses any imaginable number or metric or whatever. And I feel like right now, Capricorn, you're being asked with all of this water, you're being asked to, maybe for the first time, a little bit of shade, Capricorn, I'm sorry, but maybe for the first time to go off of feeling and not to be so quick to try to be practical, right? Because there's a lot of emotion here. And it's okay to go with it sometimes. And then now here we have this Nine of Cups. The Nine of Cups is the wish granted. And this may be something that you don't even know that you want yet, but you do know that without it in your life, it's like something is missing. When it's not there, you want it. And when it is there, you want more of it. And maybe also with this juggling, it's almost like it was more a feeling that you were used to and you kind of sort of freaked out and ran away from it. Maybe you felt that you cared too much for whatever this is and it started to affect other things and you weren't yet comfortable with whatever this is being a priority in your life. Again, with the Page, maybe it happened quick, maybe it happened fast, maybe it came out of the blue, right? But with this Nine of Cups sitting here in the space of Pluto, again, Pluto being that which is connected to the realm in the world of the subconscious, deep down inside, the reason why you're fighting so hard for whatever it is because you actually want it. And if you don't know why you want it now, once you begin to accept whatever this is as it is, you will begin to see why you want it with that Father of Cups. And so at the bottom of the deck, we have the Archangel of Glory, King of Wands, the Nine of Wands, the Four of Swords, and the Knight of Pentacles. So when it comes to the space of Saturn, again, that was sort of being at a moment of rest in between a situation that maybe wasn't the best for you, maybe left you a little bit emotionally confused, or maybe you were confused because of all of the emotions, but you're not quite yet ready to sort of go all out to reclaim it. And then we move into the Knight of Pentacles in the space of the Venus retrograde, which is about making slow and steady progress. This could also be you slowly realizing that even if what this person added to you wasn't tangible, it's like maybe there was some kind of drive, some kind of, it's like they may have, like, it's like they benefit you in some way that you can't necessarily measure or put a metric on. Maybe they motivated you, maybe they gave you some kind of drive, maybe they gave you a reason to get up and work harder, and because they gave you the reason to work harder, you wanted to return the favor by making them work harder. Because maybe like that's how you can recognize appreciation. A lot of times the way in which we show other people appreciation is the way that we would recognize it ourselves. And maybe this person showed you appreciation in a different way, and maybe there was just a sort of mixed match between how y'all did that. Look up your love languages, right? Maybe yours was like quality time, and theirs was like, maybe yours was like quality time and gifts, and theirs could have been like physical touch and words of affirmation. And if you're not affirming them, and if you aren't necessarily like the cuddliest, not to say you weren't, but if you were never there because you're working so hard, then it's like you have this mixed match where you both care for the other person, but you're not necessarily recognizing it because the way that you express that care could be different. But with the Knight of Pentacles, it's all about working towards realizing that. And then maybe, you know, you may want to extend a gift, but if you did gifts in the past, make sure it's thoughtful, at least. Coming into Jupiter, we have the Nine of Wands, which is interesting because the Ten of Wands is right here. And the Nine of Wands in this deck is really interesting. Temperance is behind the Nine of Wands, which speaks to patience. But the Nine of Wands is interesting because it's like you're reaching for the moon. In this deck, the Nine of Wands is about not giving up. It's about being near the pinnacle, being near the summit, almost there. And in a lot of other decks, it can be the space of like, you know, the wounded warrior. It's like you continue to fight, and it's like you're beat up and you want to go home. But I guess the message will be similar in like, the fight is almost over. Just keep going. But I feel like here you can't keep going the way that you were going, because this sun and this moon are colliding. Maybe it's to be a little bit more open and raw with them as well. And then in the space of the Pluto retrograde, again, we have that King of Wands at the bottom of the deck, which is the Archangel of Glory, the Angel of Arts and Grace. And so I feel like there may be a side to you that this person hasn't necessarily too much seen. And so maybe, you know, show them that side a little bit. Like if you can be a little artistic, or I don't know, I just feel like there's something really refined about Capricorn. But you can also be like fun. And I feel like a lot of times, like, they've seen you in work mode, and they may have seen you in refined mode, and maybe y'all have spent an intimate moment or two together, potentially. But maybe they haven't too much seen like the fun side of you. And it's like you can have fun with someone, but there's a difference between like having fun with someone and showing them the fun side of you. You know what I mean? All right, well, that's what I got for you, Capricorn. Best of luck. I hope this resonated or helped somewhat. So yeah, keep on keeping on, and I'll catch y'all whenever I catch y'all.